Hi, it's Louise Platt at Spiral Bright Insight. I just felt called to come on and do a short energy update with you. And if you're new to my channel, I'm a galactic and an intuitive soul astrologer. So I am very interested in the energies, what's going on, and seeing everything from a bigger perspective and outlook. But I speak astrology, so I will be talking about some of the astrological transits and alignments that are showing up at this time. And I'm recording this, what even date is it? What even is the date? It's the 13th of November. So yeah, a bit of a kind of crazy time, and certainly with Neptune in the final degree of Pisces. I mean, everyone's saying the same. Gosh, hasn't this year gone quickly? I don't really I'm losing track of time. I don't really know what day it is, blah, and it just feels like everything is collapsing. And that is part of this process that we are going through. But this week in particular, it does feel as if the intensity has stepped up. I would say more than one level. And I am not an expert in sort of tracking the geomagnetic activity and solar flares and all that kind of stuff that's going on in our atmosphere and what the sun's up to, but I do follow quite a few people that do share a lot of information. And again, I'm pretty sure that everyone has been affected by this, whether consciously or not, but we are still going through a week where the intensity in that regard has been at an all-time high. And again, I don't really understand a lot about the measurements, but I know that when we have X-class solar flares, they are very, very intense, very powerful. And I think we possibly had the strongest one that has ever been recorded. I don't know if that's true. I might be making that up, but it's certainly has been a challenging week. And of course, even if we're not consciously aware of what is going on, we are electromagnetic beings, and our bodies are feeling the impact, feeling the effect. And for me, I tend to get the symptoms a day or two before the sort of the activity is heightened. So for me, Sunday and Monday this week were really quite challenging. I had sort of mild migraines, but really bad head, felt quite sick. And just complete and utter exhaustion. So we talk about ascension symptoms a lot. And again, I'm not a medical professional, but common effects do include headaches, tension around the head, around the sinuses, tension around the jaw, sinus problems, eyesight issues as well. Sometimes you can think, gosh, what's going wrong with my eyes? It affects the ears. I get a lot of ringing and high-pitched noises in my ears when the frequencies are really high. It can also affect digestion, so stomach can be especially sensitive. The skin is also something else that I notice, as well as general sort of tiredness, fatigue, or in the opposite extreme, high anxiety or really, really high energy, almost like, you can't sit still, agitation type thing. So, yeah, just be mindful. Teeth actually is another thing that I notice sort of playing up quite a lot when the energies are high. But it's a frequency, it's a vibration, and it is rattling our physical bodies. So our structures are being affected. And especially, just coming back to astrology, with Uranus now in the final degrees of Taurus again in retrograde, we are being shaken, we are being jostled, we are being rattled. And our physical experience, our physical world is really suffering some quite significant, breakthroughs. But it can be very, very destabilizing. So physically, emotionally, energetically, mentally, everything is kind of in free fall right now. It's somewhere that we have not been before, so it is unprecedented. It's hard to really know how to navigate. And again, I think I talk about this a lot, but trying to stay as present as possible, often quite hard for me, and because I tend to spend a lot of time in my head, so I'm always thinking ahead or behind, rarely in the present moment, but grounding, embodied practices, yoga, dancing, making sure that you're drinking lots of water. Hydration is really, really important at this time. But again, trying to be as tethered and anchored as grounded as possible, because it is through that presence and that strong connection to the body and to earth that I think is going to really support us and guide us through. But as I said, these are unprecedented times. We're in the last, 7 weeks now of 2025, in a year that has just flown by. Year of the snake, number 9, sort of a completion year. And we're still in Scorpio season as well until Saturday, the 22nd, when the sun moves into Sagittarius. So this is just like such intense time of shedding, releasing, completion, letting go. And again, I'm finding it hard to find anyone who isn't experiencing some degree of endings in their world, in their experience. So relationships, jobs, places that we might be living, but also states of mind, belief patterns, ideas. And as well as letting go of things that we have physically outgrown, there's also a lot of energetic releasing and cleansing and purging going on at this time. So, this is not easy. This is really, really not easy. And I just guess I wanted to come on and just add my voice to, the collective, because so many other people are talking about this. But we are in these times when anything that is of a lower vibration, that is more dense perhaps, that we have outgrown. I'm thinking of the South Node in Virgo, which is about embodiment, but it's also about the mind. Mercury rules, so ideas, beliefs, patterns, duty, where we might be in service to something that is no longer serving us. All of this is up for release. It's all about clearing the energy and letting go, and really taking advantage of the number 9 energy, the snake energy, the Scorpio energy as well, which does bring up shadow. So not only is it density and heaviness that we are letting go of, anything that is dragging us down, keeping us trapped, but it's also shadow and trauma and emotions that we have buried and kept, and we keep them hidden for a reason, because they're not comfortable. Shadow is not something that is particularly fun to work with, but it's an absolute integral part of spiritual growth. And if we want to ascend, if we want to raise our consciousness, if we want to allow more light to come in, we have to make space. And we do that by allowing the shadows to be integrated, to be transmuted, to be embraced and accepted, but also the density needs to be shed as well. So this is what's happening. So if you're finding that the stuff coming up that you thought you dealt with, you'd cleared, you'd laid to rest, but it's coming back, and often even more loudly and more insistent than perhaps it was before. It's just an indication that it's something else, another missing piece, an aspect, a fragment of self, an expression of light that is appearing as shadow that needs to be integrated and needs to be acknowledged. And often when we sit with it, it does create resistance because we don't want to. Often the parts of us that we've kind of maybe, ignored or not integrated are the parts that we might be ashamed of, or we might be fearful of, or we might just not be comfortable sort of working with or acknowledging or sitting with. But it's by doing that, it's by pushing through that resistance and noticing for a start where the resistance is, and then allowing it to come right in. Because when you surrender to that resistance, you say, okay, come on then, do your worst, whatever this is, let's have it. Often it is just that instant of letting go and surrendering that the integration takes place, and then the light can come in, and it can set us free. It really can. And I've done it so many times over the past 2 years. I know from experience that, it's such a valuable and such a powerful and empowering process to go through, even if it is one that we would probably at first glance run 100 miles away from. So, we're in this time. And I also wanted to say that, and again, thinking about the strong Pisces energy with Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node all in Pisces, we are letting go. We are creating space and releasing, purging. But when we do let go, there's often a void, an emptiness. And again, historically and kind of, I guess, we are programmed to need to fill the void, or feel we have to fill the void. If there's a space, we need to fill it. If there's a silence, we need to fill it. We're often uncomfortable with silence, we're uncomfortable with emptiness, and it creates fear and discomfort. But actually, it's about learning to be comfortable with the void, with the space, and, kind of moving beyond the fear. Oh, if I let go of this, or if I remove this, or I stop doing this, or I stop going there, I kind of end, this connection. What am I going to have? It's creating this emptiness, and there can be panic. But I'm being shown very clearly, and this is through, posts that I see, conversations I have, and my own experience, that it is really important that we start to become comfortable with this void space, because it is from the void that the new can be born. But if we're constantly filling the void, or trying to fill the void, and I'm reminded here of the supergalactic center type energy, where we're stretched so far that it's like, gosh, there's just so much space, and it can make us uncomfortable. We're trying desperately to complete it, and and to fill the space and add more in. Or go further to find what it is that we're looking for. But we need to, just be comfortable with that darkness, with that silence, with that stillness, because that is where the insight comes in. That is where the creation happens. This is like the womb space, and the 0 point. And I think for a lot of us, we've been, again, programmed to, need to fill it. But it does take practice, and it takes a lot of courage as well. But this is very much what I am being shown with. So if you are feeling an emptiness, like a lack of direction, lack of really knowing what comes next, looking around going, oh my God, what happened? It's like, where are all the people I used to see? Where are all the things I used to be excited about and passionate about? Where are all my ideas? Where are all my plans? It's like, it's like, okay, no, this is part of this process that we are going through. And we need to allow that emptiness, because that is where the new comes. And the new, I'm being reminded, particularly as we're building towards, and both Neptune and Saturn are still in retrograde, but in February next year, they're going to meet at 0 degrees of Aries. This is the beginning point. And the 0 point. So what we are creating and what we're kind of building up towards doesn't exist yet. And again, that can be really hard for the human mind, the very sort of linear, strategic, needs to kind of work things out, have a reason, have a rationale, understand it all. That's really, really difficult. So it is about letting go. It's about stepping into that space of faith and trust, and just allowing and surrendering and trusting that, if we do create the space, then that's actually a good thing, and that is what is needed for the new to come in, even if it's scary. And fear is a big part of this, but we almost need to feel the fear to be able to push through it. So we need to just be comfortable with it, no matter how hard that is. So yes, that was kind of all I really wanted to say, I think. We've got a new moon coming up next week, which is going to be quite a powerful one. And I am going to come on and share some insights about that chart. That's a 28 degrees of Scorpio. We've had the 1111 sort of double and repeating number day, which I think was the day when we had that really high powerful solar flare. So there is an awful lot going on in other realms, in other dimensions, that perhaps we can't see necessarily, but we can certainly feel it. And the more sensitive, sort of intuitive, empathic among us are going to be really aware that things are happening. But again, it's about trusting that all of this is by design. And we're in this stage now where we don't necessarily have a guide or a notebook or an operating manual to kind of refer back to and go, oh yeah, this is, we're here now, mid-November 2025, this is what to expect. I mean, we've just got to forget that. Wouldn't that be, I don't know, would that be helpful? Perhaps not. That's kind of how my brain would like, I'd like to know exactly what's going on, and to be, to be fair, the astrology for me is such a guiding light and such reassurance, because even though I can see, that there is no plan and it's all about dissolving and surrendering and letting go at the moment, even just that understanding is quite reassuring and quite validating for what I might be experiencing and from what I see around me as well. So, if you are not on my mailing list and you want to receive my weekly Cosmic Currents newsletter, I'm sending that out every Monday. It has a heads up on the week ahead, the energies, my interpretation of them. I bring in some of the kind of more traditional aspects, transits that are going on. I also bring in some of the asteroids that I'm working with, and they do tend to change a little bit, but some of the key ones that stand out, as well as some of the fixed stars and the galactic energies through Galactic Astrology. It's not a kind of complete picture because I don't think that's possible with astrology, but it is what I intuitively am drawn to share. So please do sign up for my mailing list if you would like to receive that. It is free. There's quite a lot of content in it, and I know from the many sort of people that have fed back to me that it is lots of people are finding it really useful. If you are kind of feeling a little bit lost, I'm saying that's how we're supposed to feel, but if you do want to explore your chart, see what transits, kind of where a lot of these big hitting transits are falling in your chart, then I am available for one-to-one readings, cosmic current readings on the transits, or we can go deeper and look from a quantum soul guidance perspective, look at your soul plan, your soul purpose, your soul origins, your galactic lineage, and so much more. So those are also available. And I also wanted to just give you a heads up. I've been talking about this for a while, but it was interesting because I'm creating content for my new online course, which is going to be a kind of guide to fixed stars and how to interpret them in astrology, kind of pulling in galactic astrology, also some of the asteroids as well. And it's interesting because I've been working on my Draco module this morning, and when I checked the chart before I came on to do this video, I see that the moon is conjunct Thuban in Draco. So it's like, it wasn't planned at all, but it's just kind of more validation for me that I'm tuning into the energies, and that regardless of the timing on this, it will absolutely be available at the perfect time. So I'm hoping that that will be of interest to many people that watch my content and who have commented that they really enjoy the way I speak about the stars and my kind of interpretation. Because, as with astrology, everyone is different. Everyone has their own lens, their own perspective, and their own way of sort of approaching and working with these different energies, these planetary energies, these cosmic bodies, celestial bodies, and more. But yeah, I'm hoping to bring this to fruition, so that everybody who's interested can share and access that. I guess it'll be more like a database, if I'm honest. But when that's ready, if you're on my mailing list, you will be the first to hear about that. And I'm also going to launch a deep dive report on Sedna next week. So again, if you want to find out more about that, join up for my mailing list before the weekend, and you will get you'll get a link to that as well, because that's another. She's a dwarf planet that I've been working with a lot in my own chart and in client charts as well, and I've been called to share a little bit more information about her and about how I interpret her role and her archetype and symbolism in astrology. So I think that's that. I'm going to leave it there, but as always, thank you so much for watching and following me, and if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. And again, just let me know how you are finding the energies. I'm kind of assuming that everyone is going to be feeling it to some extent, probably a lot more intensely, probably this week. So I hope that what I've shared is supportive in some way, even if it doesn't actually change anything. But it's good always to know that we're all kind of trying to navigate this crazy time together, and there is always a higher plan at play. So that's my dog having a little roll on the sofa behind me. There you go. It's lucky it's blurred. Anyway, sending lots of love, and I'll see you soon.